Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for coming. There we go. I'll be talking to you today about social innovation in the academic library, which I'm going to shorten to SI. I use the social innovation librarian as an illustration to help you recognize the ongoing work of your colleagues, faculty, or students, to give you a sense of how to support these activities as information professionals, and to suggest ways of integrating the ideas into your own practice. So today's format will be addressing these questions. First, what is SI? Second, what is SI's role in colleges and universities? Lastly, how can SI be brought into academic libraries? Social innovation resists being pinned to a single unified definition. Most agree to a sense of the word, but practitioners and researchers bring varied understandings and projects to the conversation, which means that the social innovation umbrella has an elastic boundary. In its inaugural issue, the Stanford Social Innovation Review posed SI as, quote, the process of inventing, securing support for, and implementing novel solutions to social needs and problems, end quote. Similarly, a seminal report produced by scholars at the Said Business School at Oxford termed SI as, quote, innovative activities and services that are motivated by the goal of meeting a social need and that are predominantly developed and diffused through organizations whose primary purposes are social, end quote. Between these interpretations, you get a sense of what social innovation is. I think both are sufficient definitions, but lacking because of some of the emphasis they contain. Social innovation need not necessarily be inventive nor novel. Neither does it predominantly emerge from organizations. So our sense of SI for today should be one that aligns with the types of activities possible on college or university campuses. In short, a definition that is not overly exclusive. Broadly, SI is creating projects of many scales to help others. Some of the difficulty in defining social innovation, I feel, is due to its origins. The majority of literature emanates from business schools, and as you can see from these quotations, which leaves a certain flavor in the terminology and conceptualization. From this timeline of when terms gain prominence in the field, we can observe a slow evolution from the business-centric corporate social responsibility and socially responsible investing of the 60s, to the rise of social entrepreneurship and social enterprise, through to the bloom of social purpose, social change, social capital, and social innovation. Generally, we can think of social enterprise as the organizations, social entrepreneurship and innovation as the processes, social change as the end goal, social purpose as the reasoning, and social capital as the thing being improved. Social entrepreneurship is the most commonly related term to SI. However, Phils, Daigelmeyer, and Miller make the excellent distinction that, quote, unlike the terms social entrepreneurship and social enterprise, social innovation transcends sectors, levels of analysis, and methods to discover the processes, the strategies, tactics, and theories of change that produce lasting impact, end quote. I use social innovation because it is the term that fits best with post-secondary institutions. There's incredible value to uniting people in a community of practice under a single heading, and given some of the social justice overtones to SI, many practitioners actively avoid language that connote the business flavor I talked about earlier. So what are some examples? Sorry, that's supposed to be the UNICEF Innovation Labs and Innovation Fund, which creates centers for and bankrolls SI activities. Laboratorio para la Ciudad is a Mexico City government agency which engages citizens in civic innovation and urban creativity. I Paid a Bribe tracks self-reported data for where people have paid bribes for government services in third world countries. The Uniform Project was an endeavor in sustainable fashion to fundraise for the education of underprivileged children. And finally, City Studio Vancouver is a partnership between the city and the colleges and universities to involve students in projects that environmentally, socially, and culturally improve Vancouver. These examples also demonstrate how broadly social can be construed when thinking about SI projects. Continuing from the City Studio example, let's shift our focus to SI in colleges and universities. I thought it'd be interesting to take a scan of Ontario higher education to get a sense of the strategic direction for institutions around SI issues. With each of these terms, I looked for them in an SI/student entrepreneurship context in the strategic plans of these institutions. I was looking for, and so within the 24 public colleges and to public universities, innovation appears in nearly every plan. And I say innovation not as pedagogical innovation. For entrepreneurship, we can find it in 15 college, the blue, and 12 university, the green plans. In the literature on SI, community engagement and Indigenous partnerships are recurring themes. Community engagement appears quite heavily in these plans, while Indigenous partnerships are less prominent. As a note, I was looking for specific language around partnerships and not Aboriginal student enrollment or support. The fact that these terms/themes appear in the majority of the plans, I think gives credence to having a conversation about SI's role in academic libraries and shows that there's opportunity to create momentum. Likewise, here are some Ontario institutions already with a visible SI presence that you may want to look into further. Both Ryerson and Laurier are also Ashoka Changemaker campuses, which is a designation for SI and post-secondary. So how does social innovation actually work? These stages come from a paper written by the same lead author as the earlier cited business school report, Jeff Mulgan. The first stage is the identification of a problem and the ideation of a solution. Second is creating and testing ideas. Third is implementing the project. And fourth, improving the project or improving as SI practitioners. The first two stages are research intensive, and many projects fail because they do not have the support to find the information they need. In many cases, this support is similar to market research. In others, it may be finding government and legal documents, or it's searching for scientific or social studies. So how does the social innovation librarian address all of this? As colleges and universities develop more SI programs and encourage more SI activities, there will be a growing need for reference support for the first two stages of the process. And the creation of LibGuides would also be useful for students and faculty to direct them to resources on, generally, how to socially innovate, best practices, guides, etc., and to information that supports the overall project. This librarian would help establish a community of practice at their institution by recognizing SI projects and research and then bringing people together. As a part of this support, it is also valuable to have someone with contact with various community partners that faculty and students can collaborate with or serve through their projects. As someone knowledgeable in the SI field, the librarian could consult on projects to help with the third and fourth stages of the process. Additionally, they would develop programming to involve their own library in SI projects. Finally, there's an important role for the librarian to play in knowledge mobilization of some academic scholarship. And so I want to end my presentation on the idea of social purposing research. I define this as the process of extracting value from academic scholarship to create actionable outcomes that benefit communities and people. In short, working with students and faculty to actually do something with their research. Example, turning a study about mental health in Northern Ontario Aboriginal communities into a program that, say, brings psychiatry students into these locations. Another example could be modifying arts funding research so that the City of Toronto could implement some of the suggestions. I conceive of social purposing research as the SI equivalent to commercialization. And the 6 steps are: determine the significance of the research, assess the ability to produce actionable outcomes based on the information and analysis, identify potential stakeholders, repackage the research to meet the needs of stakeholders, disseminate through open access channels, and finally, develop and implement actionable outcomes. In contrast to other knowledge mobilization strategies, the emphasis of social purposing is on producing actionable outcomes. It is not widely sharing the research, it is ensuring that the research results in something happening. So, if you zoned out, here's what you missed. Social innovation is the process of developing projects with the goal of bettering the lives of others. It is an opportunity for colleges and universities to enhance their co-curricular experience and heighten their research impact while engaging with a broad range of community organizations, an opportunity that academic libraries can play an integral role in. Thank you for listening, and I hope I've given you something to think about.